Assalamualaikum, guys. I'm your host today. Welcome back to another episode of the Islam podcast. Alhamdulillah, glad to be back. Different face today. I'm your host, Arif, isn't able to join us today, and I'm here with a couple of guests. So I'll introduce them now. Our first guest, no stranger to the podcast. He goes by Mr. Commissioner. It is Habibi himself. Assalamualaikum, Habibi. How you doing?
Walaikum assalam, Abdullah. How are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. Alhamdulillah. So glad to have you back on the podcast.
Always good to be back.
Yes, for sure. Habibi is here, and we are joined by another one of our special guests. I think this is his first time on the Islam podcast. We're here with uh, goalie of Haya, the Red Hot Haya,
Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum.
Adam Sayed.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Jazakallah for tuning in. Inshallah, today we'll talk about the last week's games, look at some of our video footage, and then talk about standings, playoffs, and what really is coming up next in the season. How's everyone feeling after the last week's games? You know, we had couple of upsets, couple of big surprises. How are you guys feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling great. I was kind of expecting a little bit more from that four team, so that four-player blockbuster trade from both ends. Kind of expecting a little bit more from those two teams, but like it's a 12-week season. You know what I mean? So there's still a couple of weeks left, but every game counts now. So we're at the last stretch, and I'm sure all the teams have figured out what's best for them right now.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. When do you want to go? Or
No worries, no worries. You can go. You can go.
yeah. I mean, this week, a lot of people, especially because we were playing Haya, we are playing Suburb. We'll probably talk more about it in detail later. But I think this was a really good week for our team in particular. I think among all the games, there were a lot of good games that happened. Um,
Yeah, for sure. So we can jump into kind of looking at last week. So the first game of the evening, Ihsan versus Rida. Coming into this game, Ihsan was second last, um, being beaten in like I don't know, four straight games, five straight games. And Rida, coming off, I believe, three losses as well. So both teams that were in scoring slumps and winless slumps, kind of facing off against each other. And this one was actually a 4-4 game. And Habibi, you played in this game, so why don't you tell us a bit more?
Yeah,
Uh,
I did play in this game, and you know what? Although the score was 4-4, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree or disagree, but for Rida, it really did seem like a loss for us. I mean, we thought we had this game pretty much under control, but hockey, a two-goal lead in the first is really probably one of the worst leads to have in hockey. It's one of those leads where you kind of, you think you're there, but it's just one of those things that just kind of kind of gives way, especially for a team that's hungry like Hassan. But credit to Hassan, they played extremely well. Again, credit to Mohamed Salah. I mean, he obviously being the player of the week, and we'll talk later about that. But that's a hat trick, a natural hat trick actually in that game, and there's no telling about that youngster. Mohamed Salah has obviously I've had the privilege to play with him actually the last two seasons, and he just doesn't seem to disappoint. He literally held the team on our back, like on his back in terms of like how we played last game. But again, two-goal lead in the first, and then obviously the at the end it just kind of went. But I can't discredit Hassan either. You got Shakib, recently acquired from Taqwa. He played extremely well. Very, very, very nice gentleman. Alhamdulillah. Obviously, he had the privilege to play back with his family. I know Saqib and Khalil are obviously related to him as well. So obviously, they got that natural connection in terms of what they bring, and it showed. The three of them played extremely well together. But at the end of the day, it's it was a tie. We still got a point out of it, but as we said earlier, like every game counts, and whatever we can grab at this point.
yeah, for sure. That's a great point. Saqib actually finishing second star of the game, his first game back in Islam since I believe winter 2022-3
Yeah,
or
he hasn't missed a step. I know that he's been playing, in other leagues, and he's obviously participated in other sports as well. So with Saqib, you're not going to get what we don't know of Sakib. Sakib will always be consistent. He always brings that that natural grit to the game. But when you have family on the team too, it kind of fuels the fire a little bit. But absolutely, although Sakib was not here the last couple of seasons, he didn't miss a step at all this game.
Yeah, for sure. And so Shakib with 2 goals now. Ihsan honestly looked a lot better than they have, in recent games. And so, maybe this is a positive step.
Yeah,
With this tie though, Ihsan is now guaranteed to play in the play-in. They're guaranteed to finish either last or second last. But if they start heating up and get a couple more wins with 2 games to go, this could be one of the teams that some of the top teams might want to avoid going into the playoffs. Adam, did you get a chance to watch this game or?
I wasn't actually there for the game. I just saw the scores, and I remember seeing last week's Ihsan game against Sabur. They gave Sabur a run for their money too back then. I think even like almost after this Ramadan break, they've started heating up, like you were saying, and
Yeah.
I honestly think they're doing a lot better than they were before. So I think going into playoffs, especially, then they're just in the future, they're going to be doing a lot better.
For sure, for sure. So we'll move on to the second game. So me and Adam played in this game. It was a 5-1 win for Haya over Sabur. Sabur gets their first loss of the season.
yeah.
And yeah, I don't think anyone, even people on Haya, I didn't think it was it was going to be a blowout like this. So a huge game, pretty dominant performance from our team. Adam, why don't you tell us what you saw in this game?
Honestly, I think this was by far our best game yet as a team. We started off kind of slow, but as we worked together, we got much more comfortable with each other's play style, and we learned how each other plays. And Yusuf Ahmed, or not Yusuf Ahmed, sorry, Yusuf Siddiqui, he again, he's been carrying our team. He's been so crucial, and especially as a rookie, like he's such a young guy, and mashallah, he's doing so good, right? And even our defense, our forwards, everyone played amazing. I barely got any shots. Like honestly, I don't think Sabra expected that. I don't think we expect. Well, I don't even think we expected that. I don't think anyone else expected that. I was talking to some of my friends on the ride over, and they were saying, I was like, "What do you guys think it's gonna be tonight?" And they were like, "Sabra's gonna dominate you guys." And then look at it. Look what happened, right? So I think honestly we played really good. We played our best game. I don't know if that's how Sabra usually plays. I know that they were messing some things up out there, making some mistakes, and that costed them a few goals. But overall, I just think that we did really good as a team, and that's what helped us excel.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know Asif was injured that game, and let's talk a little about Sabur too. Like, if there's any time to lose, it's right now. So if they're Adam, you did mention they did make a couple of mistakes. If I was Sabur, I'd be like, you know what, I'm okay with it now. I'd rather make the mistakes now than later. They have been a team that's obviously unbeaten, so obviously with that that burden on their shoulders, every team is gunning for them, no matter who they play. So I think a good wake up call for them is probably a good thing. And I
Yeah.
think if there's any time to do it, it's probably now. So I know they had a couple of injuries, and you're right, maybe they just weren't in sync for whatever reason. But if there's any time for that to happen, it's now.
Yeah,
For sure, for sure. And also, this game, I'm looking at the score sheet. The shots were 28 for Haya and 12 for Sabur. So, you could really tell who wanted it. And I think, we were coming in unbeaten in our last 5, now unbeaten in our last 6. I think it's really kind of a push for those top 2 spies.
Absolutely, yeah.
Finals. And so we actually do have game footage for this one. We can kind of see how this game played out. And yeah, inshallah, we can
Pretty good shots there.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
so I know we talked about kind of my missed breakaways the last podcast, and you can see I missed another one, but at least I got it back and gave it to Yusuf this time. So
But if you did notice that Asif goal, that Bika that came in, you could see him hobbling in the end. So, I know that he was a little bit injured during that game, but good to see him having that goal on that play for sure. Good clip, by the way. Amazing.
thanks,
Yeah.
and yeah, sorry guys, sorry I don't have clips for all the games. This is actually a quick plug-in. If you guys do have experience with video editing, please let me know or anyone in the OC know. We could really use some video editing for games and stuff. As some of the people actually want like full games on YouTube to kind of, especially goalies, because the only really time they see themselves getting posted is if someone's scoring on them. So I think
No, man, it's not a good sight.
Well, I mean, like Adam only had one, Yusuf had five, so I mean, like,
yeah, for sure. And honestly, I think Yusuf has been
he
dominating
has absolutely.
the
I mean,
entire
just the shots on
season.
that, shots
So,
on that. You were telling me it was 27-12. I
yeah.
mean, he's still saved quite a considerable amount of shots. 27
So
to
yeah,
12.
I think when he is having maybe a bit of an off day or not at his sharpest, his team really feels it. So I think it's better, yeah, like you said, to kind of go into a slump or to get your loss now than in the playoffs. And I think it
Absolutely,
isn't something to panic for Suber as well. I think
they're good. They're good.
especially tomorrow having a big game as well. A win would lock up that number one spot for them. So I think they still have a statement to make. So we'll go into our third game of the evening. It's a 3-0 win for Ikhlas over Taqwa. Taqwa with another loss. I think it's like their ninth of the season now. So it's a pretty big, pretty big result for Ikhlas because they now stay in that fourth position, and they're now only 2 points behind Yakin. And only 3 points behind Haya, trying to push also for that second buy spot. So, really big implications down the line. Watching this game, did any of you guys catch this game?
The only thing I'm going to say is just like I start off, I thought with the four players that they traded and the four players that they acquired, it would have made a little bit of a difference. But it looked like, the score didn't show that it did. But I'll tell you one thing right now. Like you're saying that Tuckwa has 9 losses. They're definitely not a team that should be getting 9 losses. I'll tell you that. With all the players that they got and all that talent that they have on that team, there's no reason why they should be losing 9 games in a row. But specifically with this game, I mean, Hamza Chodi, I mean, look at the 3 stars. You got your 3 top guns right there. Ali Khwaja, obviously, the veteran OG in net with the shutout. Hamza and Junaid, they do what they do best. So they obviously are always the ones that to carry a team. Unfortunately, I know that Junaid sustained an injury during that game and he probably won't be, with us for a while, but hopefully he'll be, better, inshallah. But again, even with the amount of time that he was there, definitely his presence was known for sure.
Yeah. I remember watching that Junaid injury. I was like, he was really hustling down there, and then he just took that bad fall. That was like really sad, especially because he has that other bad knee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so we also have footage from this game, but it's I'm glad you mentioned the trade. We actually have something a bit funnier. We have Huzaifa Mahida. So yeah, you can see he's chirping his old GMs. You can definitely tell what he's thinking about the trade. And yeah, the trade didn't really didn't look like it helped, but I still think that with 2 games to go, maybe tomorrow could be a big game for Taqwa, because given their team, they have players, Adil Patel, Abu Mandra, Huzi.
The list goes on for that team. Yeah.
It's a stacked team, and I think it's very surprising because it's not like it's players that have never played with each other before. I think maybe it's just some games, it works. The ball works for you. Some games it doesn't. And I think this season hasn't really been, their potential. They haven't been playing to their potential at all. And
Yeah.
so yeah, we have also some game footage from this game as well. So yeah, we'll see some of the goals and stuff.
I didn't even know if that first clip was that sped up or something. Was like he was zooming down there.
Junaid,
Yeah, he looked actually really good. In that game, it was actually in regular speed, so quick on his feet, and I think that's similar to how he got injured, kind of running down that wing, and kind of took a bad fall. So
Yeah, I saw, like, I was actually at the scorekeepers when he actually scored that goal. He literally just got on the bench. Sorry, he got on the floor right when he got the ball and he just shot the ball in. So it was literally one of those goals that it's typical Junaid. Like, he's all power. And again, just the comments in the group in terms of, like, prayers up for Junaid. Obviously, like, we wish him a speedy recovery. But that goal was literally um like real time, and he literally just got on the floor, got the ball, I think from Hamza, and scored right away. But excellent goal in that part. But just going back to what you're talking about in terms of like nine losses. If I'm any other team right now, and Tuck was in the play, and Tuck was not one of those teams I want to play. Because it's like you said, they are so stacked, they are so gifted, they got everyone. Um, they're just they just haven't really found themselves. But in the playoff format, it's one of those teams, right? Even though they're losing 9 games, it's one of those teams that you probably don't want to face in the
yeah,
playoffs.
for sure. And so we'll talk a little bit more about next week, just after this last game of the evening. So it's a 4-1 win for Iman over Yakin. So Yakin was second place. They're now third place after the Haya win and the Yakin loss. But goals from Altaf, Panchadi, Hussein Hamad, another good game. And I think this player in particular has been someone that's been really underrated this season. He has like another goal for him, so that's like 5 or 6 goals in his last 4 games. Great teammate to have. Great, very vocal on the bench. Very encouraging. And he's a very big. A player. He'll show up in the big time if he's just given those moments. And so, another great performance from him. And yeah, I think it's really been kind of a good game for them, and Iman is looking really, really good. And also Yakin was also part of that 4-man trade. So
Yeah.
maybe that trade wasn't the best idea for them, given this is their another loss for them. And yeah, what do you guys think?
I mean, you know what Adam says, Adam Ahmed, right? He's always saying his team starts off garbage and then picks up near the end of the season. I mean, you saw that last season. You're starting to see that now. I mean, I wouldn't say they were garbage or anything, but um, they're starting to pick up again now, right? Beating the ex second place team, and like no disrespect or anything, but like I have no idea who Hussein Hamad is, and then hearing he got like 4 goals in his last 5 games. That's crazy. Um, like putting up these kind of numbers, like you need guys like that, especially going into playoffs, going into the end of the season. And then him and or Adam Ahmed and Altaf, like they play together all the time, right? Like they're really good. And All I remember was seeing Adam's celebration for this goal here.
When doesn't he celebrate?
Every goal, every goal.
I still remember his first goal in Iceland. That celly was just kind of unforgettable. But we'll leave that for another podcast.
For sure, for sure. And yeah, I think this was a really good result for them. And I think Iman is another one of those teams where, given the play-in, they might be one of the teams that that second place team might want to avoid. So yeah, I think we'll move on to now our player of the week, Mohamed Saleh. As you mentioned, he had a natural hat trick, I believe, in the first half or the
Yep.
second half. 3 goals straight. His last goal was a beauty. It was a breakaway. Unfortunately, I don't have the clip here, but he is a very, very big team, very, very big part of that Rida team. And there's a reason he was drafted in the first round. Amongst very, very high talented players. And he's really, really performing for his team and gunning for them. So he is the GC Burger Player of the Week. And yeah, if you guys saw his video, it's a bit confusing, a bit funny, him talking to the Tesla. But you can view it on our Instagram page. And so we'll talk about next week's or actually we'll take a look at the standings and kind of see how the season is shaping up now, and what we can do now. Oh, okay, you guys are hitting a little bit, but yeah. So this is kind of where we're at right now. Sorry, I'm trying to find like
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
no worries. But we have Suber in first place, still in first place with 16 points, and they now have clinched the semifinal spot. So Suber is for sure going to be in the semifinals. They'll either be first or second. And so yeah, it's their first loss of the season. 8 wins, 1 loss. Still a very, very good record. And now Haya in second place, 28 goals for, 15 against. So they now have the best defensive record. And one thing I kind of just wanted to shout out was the Haya defense. They don't really get a lot of praise, and they were kind of asking me to specifically call it out on the podcast. So the Haya defense has definitely performed and come out this season, alhamdulillah, and that's why we're in second place. And third we have Yaqeen, falling now. They're 5-2 in their last 10. And then Ikhlas, Iman, Rida, Ihsan, and Taqwa. Those are our bottom 5, and I think you can really see where it drops off between Rida and Ihsan. 8 points to 3 points. Rida is still in. They won't be in that first place bye, but they can still get a bye to the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
By finishing in that 3rd or 4th spot. So still a lot to play for. Season's not done yet. And I think very, very big implications now for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Jordan. You talk about those 2 teams that were that have 8 points and with 2 games left remaining. That quarterfinal 1 game is still a big difference. It's still something that can obviously help a team instead of playing those 2 games in one. You get to play that 1 game in that one night, so that's still an opportunity for for those teams to get there. But again, there's still that fight for that top spot. I mean, you guys were talking about Haya and Yaqeen still battling for that second spot with Suber already clinching in first. But there's a lot of implications, a lot of room to grow. You did mention the last 2 teams, the disparity between the 8 points and the 3 points. But again, the one thing that you always want to do, especially if you're a Taqwa Hassan, and we've talked about this too, they're not teams that you want to face. So obviously, if you go with that momentum, just win these 2 games, carry all those good habits into the finals or into the playoffs. Right now is probably the time to do that. So all teams look great, and I'm sure the next 2 games are going to be crucial for everyone just to get those good habits and get those dirty habits out of the way.
For sure. And we're getting a comment here from Safe. He's saying, "Yo, Adam, 6 stash." So
Hey,
Adam,
I had to cut the goatee. It wasn't growing in thick enough, so just
You'll get
rocking
there,
it.
Adam. You'll get there.
I hope so. It's a little baby face.
But I was just going back to what you're talking about, the defense for Haya. I just looked at the stat. I think you guys have the least amount of goals against too, right?
Yeah,
Per
yeah,
team. So that's also kudos to Adam as well. It's your defense and your
That's
goaltending.
that's all our defense. That's not me.
Well, I mean, it's still you're still part of that defensive team or that defensive core. 15 goals against. It's the lowest goals against in the whole entire league. So obviously, kudos to the D and to Adam as well.
Thanks.
for sure. And maybe possibly another player of the week performance tomorrow. So speaking of tomorrow,
Honestly,
my bad, I put the wrong picture. But sorry, you guys are also cut off. But um, you know, I
That's
think
okay.
we have at 8 o'clock Duckwa versus Rida. So it's last versus second last. Actually, no, never mind.
Hey, hey, hey,
Hey,
hey,
hey.
hey.
Last versus third last. Okay, last versus
every
third last.
every every place counts. Yeah.
Every place counts for sure. And this is a very, very big game for Rida. I think,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, if you guys win, you'll have 10 points, you'll be in the mix for that quarterfinal spot, and looking good. And I think you guys are winless, I believe, in your last four now. So, getting that win right before the end of the season would be kind of a morale boost, I think. So what are you,
Yeah.
Habibi?
Well, there's no thoughts. I mean, you've just said it right there. There's no thinking involved. We need to win this game. But I'm sure Tokwa also has that mindset because they're winless in 9, and obviously they want to carry good habits, into the playoffs. I think every game is going to be pretty much the same story, but I think for these two teams in particular, they both have extreme vested interest in winning, especially for Rida, because Rida still has, they're still in that mix for that quarter by implication. So yeah, I think Rida really needs to win this game for sure.
For sure. Adam, what are your thoughts on this game?
on this game, well, I love Habibi. I want to see Rida succeed. I want to see. I think they can win this game. I feel like Dakwa, like even though it's late into the season, they still need to find their stride.
They're still a
Uh,
great team. Yeah.
they are like any Malton. Both the Malton teams are great teams. It just, I don't know what happens. Sometimes they just can't find that groove. And I feel like
But
once they find
not
it,
9 times though. Not 9 times.
I mean, still, whenever I face a Malton team, it's always a little nerve wracking before, but
And
um,
it is very possible that, because every team does make the playoffs. It is possible, they could be saving all of their wins for the playoffs. They could go 1-10 in the season, and
And
uh,
that's why I don't like every team makes the playoffs. But
yeah, they could go 1-10 in the season and turn up in the playoffs and go undefeated.
so sorry, how does this playoffs work? So every team is making it, right? You said
For sure. So here I'll you can see over here basically first and second get a bye to the semifinals, and then third and fourth get a bye to the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals is going to be a 1-game series. So being in that quarterfinal spot, you are only playing one game that night. And so if you're in 5-8, so 5 versus 8, 6 versus 7, that's like the play-in. And then the winners of those games, the winner of 5 versus 8, depending on seeding, will play, the third or fourth spot on the same night. So, that could be good if your team is nice and warmed up and, you guys are ready. The blood's already moving because you've already played a game and you're ready to just go out there. But you could also be gassed and tired. So that's kind of why some teams do want to get that, third and fourth spot. To that for that quarterfinal game. So, if the season ended today, Iman and Takwa would be versing in the play-in, and Rida versus Ihsan. And then, the winner of that game would be playing Yaqeen, and the winner of the other game would be playing Ikhlas. And then, yeah, that would be also another 1-game series. So, anything can happen in 30 minutes, 2 halves. Definitely it's a big matchup for both teams.
you explained that so well, Abdullah. That was
Jazakallah. I actually got confused about it a little bit until I think looking at it a bit more. So
I had no idea. I still thought it was 6 teams.
yeah,
Well, he explained it. So I mean, I
Okay.
thought that was very well done.
Jazakallah, Jazakallah. So, yeah, our second game of the the second game of the evening is Iman versus Ihsan. Once again, Iman with a big win, Ihsan with a big, big tie against Rida, and I think Ihsan could come out here and potentially win this. I believe Isawi is not feeling the best and might be out, and I don't know if Omar Hussein will be at the game tomorrow. Ihsan could take advantage of that and come out there, get a statement win right before the end of the season. Those teams like that kind of get hot at the end of the season are the teams that you kind of watch out for. So yeah, we have Iman versus Ihsan. I think it's gonna be a pretty big game for both teams, and what do you guys think is kind of gonna be the big thing that both teams are gonna have to do to kind of win this game?
I feel like Ihsan's gonna just have to bring it hard. They've been doing that the past two games. They've played two solid teams, and they've been scoring goals. They know what they need to do. I just feel like they need to bring that to another level to be up against that team like Iman, which is like also finding their stride right now. So it's two teams that are like kind of getting there right now.
Yeah, for sure. And moving into our third game, just before that, I forgot to put this up here, but Hamza Abdullah, he said, he misses Islam, and he said, Assalamualaikum, guys. So, Assalamualaikum, Hamza. Great teammate, and we're looking forward to having you next season or possibly in the summer season, inshallah. So, yeah, our third game of the evening, Ikhlas versus Sabir. This is a huge game. I think just like last week, Sabir is going up against another good team that's in that fight for a bye. And Ikhlas, they have they will be missing Junaid most likely. But when you have Hamza Chaudhry and Ali Wadi and Rayan Khawaja, Mikhail Zaidi, who else am I missing? They have a lot of
Ali
good.
Khwaja too.
Yeah, Ali Khwaja and Net. They have Ayaz on the point. I think those are the players that are gonna hurt you. Oh, I forgot RC. I forgot RC, but those are the players that are gonna hurt you and make things happen. And you can see that throughout the season. Who's been their playmakers and who's kind of been the ones that really take over when the game is tight. And so Sabir, maybe Mohammed Khalir, and honestly, maybe Mohammed Khalir, he's in the comments here calling out his co-GM. But maybe he can get on the score sheet or he can block some more shots. So let's Adam, what do you have to say about that?
About Mohammed Khaler, this game.
About this game, or about anything, honestly, the floor is yours.
I have some words for Mohammed Khaler, but we can save that for another time, right?
Okay.
Ikhlas and Sabr. Ikhlas, again, they've been doing really solid. And honestly, just like when you were naming that team, I honestly think that they have one of the best teams on paper. Like those are huge names, and that's not even everyone on their team, right? And yeah, losing Jay, he's probably not going to be there, right? So that's a really big loss, especially when he's been so good lately. Mashallah. Inshallah, he recovers quickly, right? I don't know why my brother's saying that, but Sabr, I feel like they need to really get that game. This is like also personal for Mohammed and Tayyib, even Bilal, right? Because I know they're all friends, and I know that the games where it's like where you're playing people, it gets like almost more competitive, right? Like that happened in our game against Sabr. So I feel like that's going to be a really good game to watch, and that win, whoever comes out on top there, that's going to really help them in the drive towards playoffs.
Yeah,
For
this
sure.
is definitely a statement game for sure for Subbut. I'm sure after coming off that loss from last week, they still want to prove that they're still the number one team out there, even though coming off that loss, even though they clinched, it's definitely a statement game for them. But again, with all the personnel that you talked about on the Ikhlas, they're missing Junaid, but with all the star power that they have outside of Junaid, this will definitely be a key game for sure. Definitely a statement game for both sides.
For sure. And then our last game of the evening is Yaqeen versus Haya. Second place versus third place. It's really honestly a 4-point game, this one, because if Haya does win, then we get the second place bye confirmed, and we'll be into the semifinals automatically, just based on points. If Yaqeen wins, they go back into that second place spot, and into the last game of the season. If they just win that game, they'll get the bye. So a huge game, and I think teams will probably want to get that 1 week rest. Some teams want it, some teams don't, but definitely don't want to be potentially losing against one of those good teams, underrated teams at the bottom. So a huge game, and I think Yakin might be missing a couple of players. Just speaking with their team last week, I think this week they might be missing a couple of players. And I think Haya might also be missing some players, but inshallah, it's a good game, and hopefully we have footage for all the games, for next week. So, Adam, what are your thoughts on that game tomorrow going against the Yakin?
That's going to be a huge game, right? Like both teams fighting for that second place spot. And this is also going to be another test for Yakin on that 4-man trade to see whether that was even worth it. Gonna be honest, I don't know why that trade was made. Like if their team wasn't broken, I don't know what they needed to fix, right? So I guess this is a way to test that, get those players more comfortable with the rest of the team, see how they play, right? Especially against a team like Haya, like we haven't made any changes to our team. Like again, we're gonna just play our game. We're gonna try and be solid. Just show them the Haya hustle, right? That's all we do. So we'll see who comes out on top. It'll be a good game though.
Habibi, any thoughts? Any last thoughts?
No, I mean it's definitely a key mark. It's a key matchup for sure. I mean, you got Haya really fighting for that for that second spot, obviously earning the bye. I'm one of those guys that would prefer that bye week only because it's one step closer to the championship without really doing anything. So it saves that time, saves that rest in terms of like watching the other guys tire themselves out. But again, Yakin, like Adam mentioned, they made a trade and maybe they didn't need to, but now is an opportunity to show that it's they need to kind of get things in order, and there's no better time, especially in the last 2 games or last 3 games in a season, to get the good habits kind of going. So when you get into the playoffs, those good habits remain. But absolutely a key markup game, key matchup for you guys, especially you guys. I mean, for you guys, you're obviously fighting for that second spot. So, and I'm sure Yakin won't make it easy. That's for sure.
For sure. So that kind of concludes what we're looking at next week, and inshallah, see you guys all out there, and we're hoping it's another week of competitive, but brotherhood hockey. So
Absolutely.
yeah, jazakallah to Adam and Habibi for
thank you for hosting, Abdul. You did a great job, my friend.
No worries. Yeah, so please let me know how I did in the comments below, and maybe you'll see a lot more of me on the podcast. So
Inshallah.
Inshallah, see you guys all tomorrow, and I guess we'll end the stream. So assalamu alaikum, guys.
Wa alaikum assalam.